Welcome to the I-80 Club and another edition of the I-80 Football Show. We do this each and every Thursday, and I appreciate you taking the time to join me for today's conversation. It is a great one. Ari Wasserman from On3, also the podcast Andy and Ari On3 stops by to talk about college football in 2025, some of the storylines that have stood out to him, the weird quarterback play from maybe the expectations we expected with some of the superstars to Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, etc., being able to break through and have some really good seasons. Plus, Nebraska football, Matt Rhule in year 3, Dylan Raiola, and how Ari covers college football at large, talking to fans, hearing from fans, and what that is like for him on a daily basis. I've been a fan of Ari's work for years, so fun to finally get a chance to sit down and have an extended conversation with him. I've had him on my radio show a couple of times over the years, but this was the first time that I got to talk about the sport like this with him, and I think that you will very much enjoy this episode. We have had some great guests over the last few weeks, some great guests coming up on this podcast moving forward as well. Drops each and every Thursday morning here on the I-80 Club YouTube channel and on the I-80 Club podcast feed. Speaking of the podcast feed, we are doing a lot right now. Coming up over the course of the next few days, Ben Stevens with another Big Ten breakdown, getting you ready for really the last weekend in October already. He will preview the matchups coming up this weekend. We'll get you ready for Nebraska Northwestern on Saturday with the coffee show at 9 in the morning. We'll have the postgame show coming up that night. We'd love to see you there. Volleyball State on Sunday for subscribers, and so much more. If you want access to everything that we are doing, including an episode coming up tonight, I-80 Live on this Thursday, patreon.com/I-80 Club. That's where you can get access to bonus episodes, the Volleyball State newsletter, and so many other things, plus ad-free episodes as well on your favorite podcast app. Enough, though, of what we have coming up, enough of what we have done. Let's get to my conversation today with Ari Wasserman, who joins me on the I-80 Football Show. So happy to have on the I-80 Football Show this week from On3. You have read his work there. You have heard him with Andy Staples on their podcast. It is Ari Wasserman. Ari, thank you so much for taking the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's quite the time in college football. It's quite the time locally for us. It's been an odd season to this point in time. Like, we always do that thing where we want it to be like 2007. We're looking for reasons why it could be like 2007. Are you enjoying the college football season to this point, given that it seems like we know nothing from week to week?
Yeah, I think that the main difference between this and 2007, though, is that we get that kind of environment and we're going to get the answers at the end of the year. Like, that's the best part about the system. I don't know how much you know about my opinions, but my initial opinion was that I couldn't stand the 4-team playoff. I couldn't stand the expansion from the 4-team playoff. I really liked the 4-team playoff. I liked how it emphasized the regular season. I liked how it demanded the teams that were in position to win a national title to be excellent. And I felt like we were watering down the product in order to allow more people in to feel participation trophy-ish. And then the sport changed. And as the sport changed, we're starting to see that the gaps between the best teams and the best programs in college football aren't nearly as wide as they were in 2019 and 20 anymore. And when you have an environment like this, where there are 15 teams that can conceivably make a run in the playoff rather than 5, I think that this is a functional system. So, I know that we don't know anything. I certainly feel that way. And I'm enjoying that. I like that. There's only one team in the country right now that feels like they are above everybody else, and that's Ohio State. And frankly speaking, I'd love to see Ohio State versus the number 2 team. I thought we saw that in the opener. We didn't. Outside of that, it feels like anybody could make a run, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
I wanted to ask you about your career, and you hit on something there. And I wonder, you covered Ohio State for quite a few years, and you covered them during the Urban Meyer heyday, right? So, like, you're getting the boots on the ground experience with, like, this operation and comparing other teams to how good they were. I wonder, how did covering the Buckeyes during the Urban Meyer experience shape your view of the sport, not only at the time, but maybe still how you view college football today in the 12-team playoff era? Or has that changed now because of what you mentioned a few minutes ago?
I think it's impacted it greatly. I started in this career when I was 21, and I was the final year of the Jim Tressel era at Ohio State. My first job was covering Ohio State as a beat writer. And then that's where I spent the first 11 years of my career. So during that time period, if you can do the math, I covered every Urban Meyer game of his entire tenure. So I saw the modernization of a program up close. I saw the bricks that Urban Meyer laid to make Ohio State what it is today. And my viewpoints on how the sport should work and how the sport and what it takes to actually win a national championship are unique in that I saw a team that was elite, but not elite of the elite, turn into one of the three biggest superpowers in the sport right in front of my eyes. And they did that with that Southern recruiting, stacking the talent, rule by force type of scenario. And ironically enough, that's what shaped my opinions on the 14 field. That's what made me, yell Stars Matter till I couldn't yell it anymore, because the teams with the best players tend to win the most. All of that is antiquated now. Like I saw that Urban Meyer's name was actually popping up for job potential. And it's like, that guy can't do it now. The man who barely knew his freshman's name until they were juniors is going to be in the NIL era. Like, he was a brilliant coach. And I actually think that you could make a case that the Big Ten is good because of him. Like, he forced the Big Ten into the new era. But I don't know that stuff works anymore. And nor can you recruit the types of classes that they used to recruit, because NIL has created more parity, and the 9th best player in Ohio State's class in 2017 might be the 1st best player in Michigan State's class now, making more money. So that's why we feel how we feel about the sport this year. It's not just a 2007 one-off crazy year. The way that the rosters are being assembled and how hard it is to maintain and retain good players once they're good is difficult. And the question you have to ask is, would you rather be the star player at Arkansas, or would you rather be a 3rd stringer at Georgia? And I think that, in the world of Diego Pavia and, Pete, it doesn't matter where you go to school. You can be a star anywhere now. And if you're getting paid in the process, it makes it harder to stack. Alabama and Georgia are great every year because they used to have 2 deeps that could beat most Big Ten teams' first team. They don't have that anymore. So if we don't know what we're seeing, it's because of that. And I think that that's a cool thing. If you wanted parity in the sport, you got it. And I think the fans of the traditionally dominant programs don't love it now that they have it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Shahan Jayaraja last week from CBS, and we were looking at that. Yeah, great conversation. We were looking at the Alabama quarterback room in 2019, and it's hysterical now. To think that they had Tua in there, that they had Mac Jones as a 3rd stringer, that they had, it's 2018, right, when they still had Jalen Hurts, and it's wow, that is truly impossible to have 3 guys who are starting for as long as Tua is still starting in the NFL today. You wouldn't see that on a roster anymore in college football in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, even one of the teams I covered had Joe Burrow, Dwayne Haskins, Braxton Miller, and JT Barrett on the same team. So I don't know. I think that there's still some chance that guys are on rosters that we've never heard of that turn out to be really good. And then we look back in 5 years, it's hard to do that now because we don't know how the freshmen on those teams are going to pan out. But who's the best backup quarterback in the country? Do we even know? That's the thing. It's if you left tackle, Alabama's left tackle blows his knee out in November in 2020, they bring another left tackle in that's going to be a 1st-round draft pick. Now, if you blow your knee out and you're on Alabama's roster, it creates a hole that never used to exist. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's not just who had the best players. It's how many people had guys who could come off the bench in the 3rd quarter of a playoff game and make a play. And I think that that's just not the same anymore. And part of the reason why the SEC people are having such a hard time relinquishing the idea that they're the best is that I feel like they used to think that the SEC was about Southern dominance and that the players in the South are the best. And, the way that they coach down there, it means more and all the spirit stuff. It's well, I think that part of that is true. All the best players in the country typically come from the South. I mean, there's a concentration of talent in the South that used to stay home and go to Southern programs, but it was because the top end teams. I mean, go look at LSU's too. We have Ed Orgeron on our show today, and we were talking about it. Go look at 2019 LSU. Like, that is insane. It is insane. And I just don't think that those teams exist anymore, which brings, like, we're in Omaha, right? So I'm
Yep.
sure there's a lot of Nebraska listeners. Like, Nebraska can beat the higher teams in the SEC this year, where in 2015 it would have been literally impossible because it would have been physically impossible. It would have been physically impossible. Like, that's the difference between the NCAA tournament and college football too, dude. Like, the physicality of this game, and like, if you go on a 12-0 run in basketball, that could change the entire thing. Or you have one 3-star prospect who goes 9 of 11 from 3, like, the game is different. In college football, there are 4 quarters, and eventually the athleticism wears you down. Like, even if you are off to a slow start as a superpower team, by the time you're at the end of the third quarter, the other team isn't physically able to compete anymore because you're bringing fresh bodies in. Your talent is too much. You're too physical. You're bigger, stronger, faster. It's just different. And like, now it's just like not the case. And I wonder, like, I thought last year's Ohio State team was the death of the super team. I thought that was the last one. And like, they somehow have managed to statistically be better this year. I think part of that too is their schedule's been kind of soft. But I'm very curious to see like what Ohio State turns out to be. But other than that, I don't look around the country and see a team that has 20 players on their roster that are going to be first-day draft picks moving forward. That used to be the requirement to win a national title. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I want to ask you, Ari, about the quarterbacks of this season so far, because like one of the storylines that I have seen, and maybe part of this is being here in Nebraska and talking about Dylan Raiola on a daily basis, is that the story has been these preseason guys that we thought so much of, who either have fallen on their faces like an Arch Manning or haven't maybe lived up to the expectations. And I would put Dylan Raiola, I think, into that bucket to some degree. You could throw DJ Lagway into a bucket as well. Lenore Sellers, though he's been banged up. Like, I wonder how much of a lesson is to be learned from your perspective on quarterback play in college football beyond, like, it's a really hard position. You know, it's really hard to predict things. Like, what explains some of these guys? I mean, Arch in particular, I think, is just such a surprise for so many of us. I know it's been a surprise to you. What have you made of just some of the quarterback struggles we've seen in the sport?
I mean, the quarterback struggles go deeper than what you're just saying. Like, Drew Aller's injured now, but he got off to a bad start. Cade Klubnik's off. You know, he didn't play last week. He had a terrible season for his standard. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU isn't doing very well. Nico Iamaleava had a disaster of a start. Like, this isn't just like an Arch. This is like, you're right. Like, there aren't. But at the same time, this is probably the deepest quarterback year we've ever had. Like, in terms of like, every single school seems to have somebody. And even though the stars of the sport have flopped, there have been a lot of really good players too that have like come through. Like Julian Sayin at Ohio State's been great. Like Mestamaker at North Texas has been cool. Fernando Mendoza might be the first round or first overall pick in the draft. And I think sometimes in college football, we get so bogged down by focusing on the stats the narrative of the offseason that we forget that, like, it's not just who flops. Like, we are so fixated on who's flopping, but we lose track of who's doing well. Jaden Maiyava's having a great season. Gunnar Stockton, Talon Green, Brendan Sorsby at Cincinnati's having a great year. Luke Altmaier's doing really well. Diego Pavia could win the Heisman. Ty Simpson's overplaying what we thought he would do.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's been great. And I think that also goes for Gunnar Stockton the same. Dante Moore's been good. Bo Prabula has outperformed probably what we thought he was going to be. So, like, I think that, like, like a lot of the, like, first of all, what's happening with Arch Manning is blowing my mind. Like, if you watched clips from me in the offseason, I said it was like a virtual impossibility that they wouldn't at least be productive. I didn't say that it was a certainty that he would be Dan Marino, but in that system against that schedule, I thought they would put up numbers. Like, they had a hard time scoring against UTEP. They got outgained by 200 yards by Kentucky on Saturday. Like, why is that happening? I don't know, but it's not just Arch. Like, their offensive line stinks. DJ Lagway's kind of been in a dysfunctional situation. Lenore Sellers is banged up. Garrett Nussmeier, I think, has been banged up.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball. Like, there's like reasons for it too. But I love that, like, in college football, like, our jobs is to try to identify trends and explain away everything. And, like, I think that sometimes coincidences happen too. And, like, I think that might just be a coincidence. I don't know. I don't know. Also, these quarterbacks, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have not stayed in the same system for multiple years in a row, or are very young, or transferred to a new situation. Like Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller are like the exceptions to that rule. So, like, everybody has their own story. Arch Manning hadn't, signed out of high school. Lenore Sellers did. Maybe the answer is just go get a transfer. I don't know. don't try to develop quarterbacks anymore. Like a Penn State fan asked us that. Should they have tried to let Aller go, try to hold on to Bo Prabula, or try to just get the best quarterback in the portal that like the John Mateers of the world every year? Like, I don't know. Like quarterback recruiting is really difficult now. And I think there is a 50-50 proposition of like, should you get a player out of high school and try to develop them and be homegrown? Or should you just try to go get the most productive, ready-made player that you can in the portal? Because, Diego Pavia might not be a pro, but man, I would love him to be on my team. If he was on Alabama's roster right now, he'd be the biggest guy in the sport.
I don't remember who it was that said it after the Oregon game, but I heard the Oregon-Penn State game, rather. But I heard someone compare Drew Aller to what they did with Trace McSorley, and it's like, maybe Aller is the better pro prospect, and he is the guy that if he gets off the bus, you'd say, yeah, that's the quarterback that I would want. But Trace McSorley was the much better college quarterback, and he could put that team on his back at times and take them to places that, they really haven't been, right?
We lose track of that. We get, because NFL draft coverage is so big and so mock drafts are like the most read story right now in October. Like we get so much gravity is like taken up by who's going to be drafted and where they're going to be drafted that we lose track of like being a good college player is all college coaches should care about. I covered one of the best college players I think of all time. And like no one even remembers him probably outside of Ohio. Like Braxton Miller, for instance. Like if you go back and you look at some of the great quarterbacks that have gone through Ohio State, like CJ Stroud's a starter in the NFL right now. Justin Fields is struggling. But he was really good in college. Like these are all pro prospects, but like the best quarterback I ever saw at Ohio State from a college perspective was Braxton Miller. He could throw the ball well enough to get it to where it needed to go, and he could make a touchdown out of any play because of how good and elusive he was. That guy is never going to sniff a snap of pro football at the quarterback position. But like, would you take him or would you take Cade Klubnik? Like, I don't know. Would you take him or Drew Aller? I'd take him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that Drew Aller won't get healthy, get drafted number 1, and get taken by the Vikings or something and be awesome in the pros. Like, I don't know anything about what makes a good player a good pro. Brock Purdy was they don't even know. Brock Purdy was the last player taken in the draft, and he went to the Super Bowl in year 1 or 2. Was it 2?
Year 2, yeah.
You know what blows my mind about quarterbacks, dude? Like, everybody acts like they have it all figured out. It's like, who is the greatest quarterback coach in the NFL right now? When people say Kyle Shanahan, that dude didn't even know he had Brock Purdy until Trey Lance got hurt.
Yeah, he was the third stringer at the start of that season.
Yeah, like he didn't even know. He was on his own team and he didn't know. And like, I'm supposed to tell you who's going to be good? Like, it's crazy. I thought Justin Fields would be a star in the NFL, and the guy can't throw a forward pass for some reason. I don't know what the hell's going on. And then, you just like, look, I thought CJ Stroud was a good prospect, but he's the best Ohio State player that came out of Ohio State, and I didn't think he was the best pro prospect. Coming out of the college, who do you think was going to be better in the pros, CJ Stroud or Justin Fields? It's crazy.
Yeah, I would have definitely expected it to be Justin Fields.
And I guess it's just more about like, maybe it's being a good pro quarterback. It's more about what's in here. But like Justin Fields is one of the brightest, like best leaders I've ever been around. Like, and he's not stupid. So like processing speed, I have no idea. Like I don't know. I really, truly don't know. But what I do know is that if you go get somebody who has performed at a high level for multiple years in the college ranks, and then you put them on your team, you probably have a higher likelihood at the moment of hitting on that player on your team if he's a 1-year or 2-year rental. But at the same time, like Indiana, I don't know if Indiana's plan can be go get Fernando Mendoza every year. Like they were lucky. They did a good job evaluating him. But like, I think Fernando Mendoza was wanted by Georgia. Like how many times is Indiana going to get one of the best quarterbacks in the portal every year? Especially if more teams start engaging in that behavior. So I still think you need to go and recruit the best quarterbacks that you can and develop them and have them on your roster. But if your quarterback gets injured or your quarterback doesn't, do you know who Texas's backup is? I didn't even know what his name was until I looked it up 2 weeks ago. No. Like that's the new world. And maybe Arch just like was so much atmosphere that like we don't even think about the backup, and he was going to be great no matter what. But like he's been bad. There's no way to put it. He's been bad. Other way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Indiana. Is there a way to put this into perspective where like there may be still a little, I don't want to say underrated and like they're the number 2 team in the country. I think that they're properly rated. But are we appreciating this story enough, Ari? Because like it is still wild to me that the Indiana Hoosiers are not just good, that they're not just a playoff contender again. but that they are like a wagon and that they are perhaps like a true blue national championship contender. And we talk about college football so much. I mean, you're doing a daily podcast. You're writing about it all the time. I'm doing a daily radio show. I'm talking about it all the time. And yet I still wonder, like, are people really appreciating enough what they are doing? But I don't think so, because I think everyone thinks Curt Cignetti's an asshole. And so it just like that clouds over what I mean, people around Nebraska, certainly, I don't think they don't, and maybe it's just because of jealousy, right? That he has done what Matt Rhule has been unable to do in 3 years. He's already done it in 2.
But do you think that the national thought process of Curt Cignetti is that guy's an asshole?
And maybe again, I'm using my local color to cloud it, but I
mean, he is kind of an asshole in a great way.
Yeah, I love it. I think he's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I win. Google me. I mean, he's been on our show a few times. I think he's in a funny way. Yeah. Like, there are coaches who are assholes that like people just don't like. I'm surprised to hear that. Also, I can understand too. Like, I don't know how much you know about what's happened to me in the last 6 months, but like, I'm not a fan favorite in your state right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So I got to be careful. But let's just be honest. Indiana accomplished in a year and a half what Nebraska's been trying to accomplish for 2 decades. So like, I'm sure that there's probably some sort of resentment underlying there. But also everybody likes the winning asshole, right? I mean,
if that was a guy that was at any school, not, that is not good, and then they became good, they would build him a statue. If that guy was at Nebraska and he did what he is doing right now, they would build him a statue.
Well, Indiana just offered him $11.6 million a year for 8 years, so I think that they're properly appreciating it. I don't know if the rest of the country has accepted that they're good. Like, I feel like it's going to take years. That's the truth of it. College football was the same way for so many years. Like, we're talking about 100 years of like it being basically the same, with the same teams and the same programs running the sport. And we've had, dynasties. Nebraska was one, that have popped up here and there who have like changed things. But like, the college football brain cannot comprehend that Indiana is good. It doesn't matter that they went on the road and beat Oregon. Like, to people in the South, they are still Indiana. The people in the South, they still skirted the rules last year and got in because they didn't play anybody good. And like, I don't know if Indiana is going to win the national title this year, but who can't they beat with what we've seen so far? Mm-hmm. The only team might be Ohio State, and I think they could beat them. They're really good. And anyway, if you're looking at, to go back to the quarterback discussion, their quarterback is supposed to go 1-1. They're the best quarterback as a pro prospect in college football right now. They've got a really good offense. Their defense is good. D'Angelo Pons is undersized, but one of the best corners in the league. Elijah Sherratt is one of the best receivers in the country. They have players on their team. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you think it's just like Indiana is blowing out. The other thing that bothers me too is that people don't respect how hard it is to blow everyone out.
Correct.
Like, if people say like, oh, they haven't played anybody, like, yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, they're not proven or shown that they can win at the highest of high levels. But like, they've done that. They went and beat Oregon on the road. Was that home? I can't.
No, remember. that was in Autzen.
Autzen, yeah. So they've already done that. The thing of not playing anybody's out the window. But let's say they didn't even play Oregon. How many teams are manhandling everybody on their schedule every week? Miami just lost to Louisville at home on Friday. Mm-hmm. Teams are losing to bad teams all the time. So I still think that there's something to be said about being undefeated. And that's why I have them in A&M and Ohio State and the teams that are still unbeaten. That's the way college football works. But like, I don't discredit teams. My deal is, if you think they're a fraud, they'll show you eventually. But they have if they were a fraud, they would have lost to Oregon by 20.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Not to put you under the microscope of the Husker fans around here, Ari, but I do wonder now. Nebraska 7 games in, 5-2, coming off of. I in my opinion, the biggest stink bomb of the Matt Rhule era so far, just given the expectations and kind of where I thought the program was going. It's given me quite a bit of pause. I wonder what criticisms of Matt Rhule in year 3, halfway through year 3, you think are fair at this time, and which ones that you think maybe people should pump the brakes on.
That was bad. Like the Michigan game, whatever. Like they could have won that game,
Mm-hmm.
but like Michigan might be 9-2 going into the Ohio State game this year. So like, that was a tough game. You lose to Michigan, whatever. I thought Matt Rhule did a tremendous job of cleaning. Like Nebraska was like a punchline 3 years ago of like, oh, they're in a game that's separated by 3 points in the fourth quarter. What are they going to do that's hilarious to fuck this up? Oh, sorry. To mess this
you're
up.
good.
I don't know for a lot. It's
good.
a podcast, right?
Yeah, you're good.
What are they going to do to like, there was one game, and like there were so many of those that I can't even like keep them straight.
Mm-hmm.
There was one game, I think they were playing Iowa, and they threw the ball late or something when they shouldn't have, and it was intercepted, and they ended up losing. It just like was like this like dysfunction around the program. So I think that from that standpoint, like Matt Rhule deserves a lot of credit for like stabilizing the functionality of the place. Because if you lose, like, because like Nebraska's always recruited pretty well and had okay players and was always competitive in every game, but like there was something rotten behind the scenes that like they were allergic to winning, and I think that they fixed that, right? And I think going the longer route, like Indiana is like remarkable. And I think that like people are comparing what Clark Lee has done at Vanderbilt and what people are, or what's happening at Indiana. Maybe Clark Lee is not a fair example because he's been at it for 2 more years than Rhule, but it's supposed to take time, and like maybe less time now than it used to, now that you can get players in the portal. But like, I think that Nebraska, from where it was when he picked up and like where it is now, is immeasurably better. But I thought we were past the upset losses like they just suffered. So that sucks. And like Friday night, weird things happened. Like I get it, but I bet on them. I thought they were going to win. I thought we were past this part of the Nebraska situation. So I understand why people would be upset, but by and large, like I think he's done a really good job. Like I don't know if you're a Nebraska fan who's out on Matt Rhule now, I think that that's kind of crazy. Dude, 24-6. I mean, it was bad. Like there's no
it was horrible.
No way, I mean, there's no way around it. Like it was bad. I don't think Minnesota is a terrible team. I mean, they're 5-2. Like they didn't lose to like, I mean, I don't even know how you would like, my gut was to say Indiana because of how long it's been. They didn't lose to Purdue 24-6. I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know like what's the Nebraska perspective of what happened there.
I think it's pretty split right now. I think there's some so there's been quite a few doubters, and maybe it's because I do a daily radio show along with the podcast, and so you're going to hear from all kinds of fans, but I hear from a lot of doubters who have like, he's a 500 coach, all that stuff, right? Where they build in the year 1 and 2 at Temple and Baylor in terms of like, I don't care about the year 3 stuff. And so I think there's some frustration. There are others who are, hey, it's a slow build. It's still going to be fine. I think this game against Northwestern on Saturday I think it's quite interesting. If they lose again, they're 5-3 after 8 games. They've been 5-3 after 8 games in each of his first few years. And so I think everyone's kind of wondering what's going to happen, because it just that was a stink bomb that I think a lot of people thought, like you did, that Nebraska was passed under Matt Rhule.
Yeah. And like I am not critical. I feel like people have thought that I've been more critical of Dylan Raiola than I actually have been. I thought he's been playing really well this year. The only thing that I said about him, and I want to get your perspective on it, and I don't know if it's changed. He has played better in the last month than, he had last year. And I thought he's done a good job. Like my number one criticism of him was that he had a hard time escaping pressure. And if he had people in his face, the play was over. And like, that has not been true this year. Like I thought he's really improved that. But I doubt that Dylan Raiola will ever be the sensational, transcendent number 1 overall pick, like Patrick Mahomes type player that a lot of people thought he would be when he came in. And I think that that's a fair criticism or a fair question to ask. Because now we're halfway into his career.
Yeah, 20 starts.
You're losing 24-6 and throwing for 170 yards,
taking 9 sacks.
I don't like, I'm not an asshole. Like I want Nebraska to be good. I think 90% of their fans are great. and I've enjoyed my time in Lincoln, and I think their stadium. I have a lot of respect for Matt Rhule. Like I don't dislike Nebraska at all. Like I think it would be awesome if they got back to where they were. But like part of my job and like who I am is like I have to be rational and critical about everything and everyone. And like this is like everybody was expecting the year 3 jump. And I thought we were on track for that. And like now I don't, which I would say everybody does. Like I'm not unique in that. If you lose 24-6 to Minnesota, like you're remarkable. They could be undefeated right now, dude. They could have beaten Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You play that Minnesota game again, they probably can win. Were they 7-point favorites in that game? I would know. Yeah. I lost money on it. So 5-2 is better. You want to be 6-2 and ahead of schedule. You don't want to be 5-3. I don't think they're going to lose to Northwestern. Like if they lose to Northwestern, then there's a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think you're going to go to the playoff and win a national title in year 3, you're probably also being irrational. So like I think you have to just kind of like look at it through that prism. And like honestly, I know it was easy to get excited about the team. It's your favorite team. You want to be excited about the team. But like, did you watch the Michigan game and go, yeah, this is a team that's going to make a playoff run this year? Like it didn't matter what their record was. But when you watch that game where you're like, yeah, they're going to go make a run. They're probably a year or two away. And every team's a year away. If you bring back Dylan next year and he's the best version of himself next year, and you go out and you get a stud receiver, shore up your line, like you could make a real run next year. My hope, if I were a Nebraska fan at the moment, would be stabilize the season, figure out a way to get to 9-3, and feel good about yourself heading into the offseason. I think that'd be a successful year, no?
Yeah.
I think it would be. A 9-3 would be a great year for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we haven't seen a 9-win season around here in almost a decade. So, I mean, that.
Yeah, and like I know that
perspective,
jokes will start flying, but like you have to get back to 9-3 before you surpass 9-3. Like, what were the expectations coming into the year? And I said we'll do this a half hour. Let's take a little bit more time.
Okay,
if you have time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What were the real expectations for Nebraska, like rationally, from a rational fan coming into the year? Was 9-3 the hope?
So 9-3 would have been the hope. The majority of the people picked 8-4. I was personally a 7-5 guy. I was one of the few around here locally that did not expect kind of that big year 3 bump. And part of it was some Dylan Raiola doubt from me that he could take the leap. Part of it was the problem of the defensive line and stopping the run, those types of things. Like that was what I zeroed in on throughout the course of the offseason, and that's been proven true. I think the offensive line being a tire fire and Nebraska being the second worst team in the country and allowing sacks. Dylan Raiola is not super mobile, but I mean, it's been pretty ridiculous. I mean, 9 sacks in a football game is a video game number. So I think it's, we have gotten very used to around here, Ari, saying it's not that they lost, it's how they lost. And I think that's what Minnesota, I predicted before the year they'd lose that game. I didn't see 24-6 stink bomb where you're outscored 17-0 in the second half. So that's kind of what I am, and I know a lot of other people are weighing right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. I don't even know, like you are probably or are more familiar with Nebraska. The thing that's interesting about their schedule is that like a road game in November at Penn State was probably circled as like the biggest game on the calendar, and like now Penn State's broken. So, like if you look at the rest of their schedule, it might come down to beating. I think would be a great situation. If they lose to USC, I don't know that there's another game on the schedule that they can't win. Like USC is at home. They can win that game. USC has shown, I mean, they lost to Illinois. I mean, they've shown that like teams like Nebraska can get to them. They should beat Northwestern. I mean, what's the spread of this weekend's game? I'm going to look it up.
It's 7.5 last time I saw. So, I mean, it's pretty much what it was a week ago when they went up to Minneapolis.
Yeah, they were on the road though at Minnesota, right? So, and it was a Friday night game. Like I sometimes I think that like that kind of thing does matter. Like the Louisville situation, it just happened to Miami on the same evening. So, it's I can understand how you could do it. And like Minnesota doesn't stink. So like you just had a bad game and you lost on the road on a Friday night. It happens. But Northwestern, They should win. If they don't win that game, then we'll come back next week and really, have we like Andy and I didn't even talk about it on the show on Saturday. So, USC, then UCLA is playing better, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to beat UCLA. Penn State on the road isn't going to be what we thought it was. Like they could be 9-3. That's still there. And then it goes from this team sucks and Matt Rhule stinks to, back to the offseason hype where everybody's excited again. I think Nebraska is about what I thought they would be coming into the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought 5-2 at this point.
Like, do you think Dylan Raiola is going to be a first-round draft pick, though?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and I said that, and then everybody in Lincoln and Omaha hate me.
Hey, let me ask you about that. And if it's okay, one more question before I let you go, because I know you're up against it on your day. You engage with your listeners, your readers, maybe more than any national person out there. I love that about you. We're the same age, so I'm guessing part of it is we were brought up in the message board culture, right? Of always talking to people, always having opinions.
Well, also too, Josh, being this is why we do this.
Correct. Exactly.
I can't stand sports writers who think that they're better than the fans or that they know better. My opinions I think my opinions are sharper because they're not clouded by bias and I get to speak to the people involved in it. You know what I mean? When I come up with an opinion on my show, I think what people don't realize is that a coach told me that, or somebody said that to me. I am a sponge that I'm the conduit from coach to that's what media is. And I just I think that people think media is just a fan who got elevated to spew their bullshit at people. And it's yeah, well, part of that's true. I'm a podcaster. I have my opinions. My raw opinions about the sport are no better than yours or better than the fans. I think I'm more informed, and I'm not my viewpoints don't change based on where I'm from or where I went to college. But engaging with people and yelling about the sport is what makes college football best. That's why I liked the playoff dialogue. That's why I like the what ifs. I like yelling and screaming about resume and all that shit is fun. So if you're a sports writer who's I'm not talking to those people. It's I disagree with it. And now the one thing I will say is people say really nasty things, and I don't like to participate with that. And sometimes it gets to me. But if you want to argue with me and call me a dumbass because of my football opinion, let's do it. I'm not always right. I'm wrong. I said Arch Manning would be a Heisman finalist and that you should bet your life on. I'm wrong all the time. It's not about being wrong. It's not about being right. It's about being entertaining, speaking from the heart, being true to yourself, and engaging with the people who support your show. So I appreciate you noticing that about me. It's important to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I've always appreciated too that you are introspective about it, and you'll have conversations with Andy where I wish I would stop responding, or I should stop responding. I should stop reading my mentions. I'm on a date with my wife and I'm on Twitter, because I know that I'm the same way, and I think that that's what makes you different in terms of your coverage of college football. So I've always appreciated that. Didn't mean to gas you up as we say goodbye.
But, well, it's nice. It's good to hear something nice from someone in Nebraska. It feels good. It hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. Ari Wasserman, you can read his work at On3.
Josh, you were going to ask me something else.
Oh, no, it was just I wonder how much of that is, a conscious decision from your perspective, because I guess what is unique about you is that you are now at a website On3 that is built on kind of message board culture, sub message boards, right? With individual teams, Husker Online, it covers Nebraska around here. But you were like that at the Athletic. I'm guessing you were like that at where were you at the Cleveland Plain Dealer before that, covering Ohio State. I guess I wonder if you find that this now is a super fun part of your career, that you are now at a website that is built more on that. You guys do the live shows and you're engaging with your chat throughout it on YouTube. That has got to be really special for your career.
My job has shifted dramatically. At the Athletic, we had a podcast there, but the Athletic is owned by the New York Times, dude. It's a completely different culture of fan, I think.
100%.
And it's a different culture. At the Athletic, college football isn't the most important sport. On3, and the Athletic has an amazing college football coverage team. And one of the best, most rewarding things of my career was helping build that place up. And some of my best friends in the entire world still work there. But if you ask the people who run the New York Times, what the most important sport is, they wouldn't say college football. They would say NFL and NBA and things that really drive traffic. The NFL is king, you know that.
Oh yeah.
On3 only cares about college football. And the people who subscribe to On3 and read On3 are college football freaks. That's not true at The Athletic. Now, on Twitter, everybody is free game. No one even knows who you are on Twitter. But my biggest mistake that I can't correct for whatever reason is trying to engage in discussions that require rationality with people who can't see anything past what their favorite team, what's good for their favorite team. Like if I have a good faith discussion about Dylan Raiola and the ceiling he's going to hit, and I get waterboarded with mentions from Nebraska fans, I can't have a good faith discussion with those people. And I try to discuss it through an unbiased prism. But if you're an unbiased person and you're talking to a person who's incredibly biased, there's nothing that you can do or say to get through to that person, which is really hard. And I have a hard time with that. And I at times get angry, and I need to be better about that, because it's like, well, if somebody called my wife ugly, I would probably get really upset and fight you to the death on that. Now, you might think she's ugly, but there's nothing about that person that I think is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the same exact thing with college football. If I think your team stinks and you think it's great, even if that does stink, the person who loves it doesn't think it stinks. So like that's,
I've never heard that comparison. That's amazing, but you're right.
But yeah, I mean, like, and by the way, she's really pretty. Just like from an unbiased perspective, I think she's really pretty. But like, you know what I mean? Like I think that with college football fans, and the reason why it gets so like anti-Semitic comments and things like that, and it's just like, I think that the reason why is that it's so personal to people, and that's what makes college football the best too, right? Like that it's personal to people. But like anybody who thinks that me or Andy or you or anybody else like wakes up in the morning and is coming on to talk about college football with their friends from a place of hate is just completely insane. We do this because college football is fun. It's not as serious as the political issues that face our country. I'm not covering hospitals and crime, like all like the real things. Like we're covering college football. And if you think like we wake up in the morning, I'm like, what can I say today to hurt Nebraska or to hurt Nebraska? Like that's like, there's nothing I can ever do to explain to you that like couldn't be further from the truth. So we love it. I love it. You love it. That's why we do this. And like, if you ever question our love for football, like think about how we designed our lives to be obsessed with it. Like I sacrificed half of my life to be able to do this every day. If that's not a love for the game, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's a great sport. It's been a great season so far. Ari, I said 30 minutes. We did 40. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're super busy. You record Andy and Ari on 3. It's available on YouTube each and every day at 2 o'clock Central Time here in Omaha. You guys do like 3 or 4 podcasts on Saturday because you're reacting to every game. I don't know how you do so many pods and so many columns on Saturdays alone, let alone the
Saturday's
other
a long day,
doing.
Josh. It's a long day.
It's crazy. I'm like, wow, He wrote 3 columns. They have 3 20-minute shows and then the hour-and-a-half show recapping everything at night. It's incredible. You and Andy doing great stuff over there, and very much appreciate you taking the time to talk about how you cover the sport and the sport at large in 2025. Thanks for joining the I-80 Club today.
Anytime you need me, Josh, hit me up. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you and the people of Nebraska the best.
Thanks again to Ari Wasserman for taking some time for me. Again, scheduled for only a half hour. We went longer than that. Really appreciate it. Fun conversation with him. Fun dialogue about college football, his career, and where the sport is headed throughout the rest of the season. Again, mentioned it in the intro, but we have a lot of stuff coming up over the next few days, including tonight with an I-80 Live, a bonus episode for patrons, patreon.com/I-80 Club. We have a Big Ten breakdown coming up Friday. We have all the coverage around Nebraska Northwestern coming up on Saturday, and more on into another week, the first week of November, just about here as well. Thank you for taking the time. Hit us up with a like and a subscribe on the way out the door on YouTube. If you're listening, a rating and a review would help as well. Spread the word. Maybe text your mom or dad a link to the episode. Whatever it is, we would very much appreciate it. Thanks again to Ari. I'm Josh Peterson. We'll talk to you next week on the I-80 Football Show.